special coverage now on the legacy left by last summer's war between Hezbollah and Israel. Let's cross back to Sami Zaidan in southern Beirut. Sami?
Thanks, Lauren. We are looking at that legacy, not only for the Israelis and the Lebanese, but in terms of also the wider region. And many parties seem to have been involved in this conflict, either directly or indirectly. Syria, Iran, the United States, they all had their interests, and in some shape or form, those interests were reshaped in a conflict that brought many surprises to all parties here. On the one hand, you had the leader of Hezbollah, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, saying that he didn't expect an operation to capture Israeli soldiers to lead to a war. But on the other hand, if Israel, as it stated in the early days of the war, thought it could crush Hezbollah, well, we're here today and can tell you that that has not happened. The amount of Hezbollah people we had to speak to get in and out of here with our camera crew can attest to that. Well, looking at the rubble that's behind me here today, you get the feeling that buried along with some of that rubble were some of the political calculations that were made before this war began. That is the situation here, but of course we have a changing situation in the south of Lebanon, the crucial area where the first shots were fired opening this conflict. There we have Rula Amin, she's in Ait al-Shab. Rula.
Yes, Sami, here in Ait al-Shab, a small village with about 8,000 inhabitants. It all happened and started here. If I step away, you will be able to see a stone fence. That is where Hezbollah fighters crossed into Israel, killed 3 soldiers, captured another 2, crossed back into Lebanon, whisked the soldiers away along this road, and then they took them in a tinted window cars and just drove and sped away from here. What followed was a long month war. For Hezbollah, it was a victory. They know that they have suffered a lot of losses. It cost Lebanon a lot. But in the bigger picture, the way they see it, in the bigger picture, which their goal is to confront Israel and the US, they think they did well. In the past week, we traveled along the border between Lebanon and Syria, and this is what we found out. This is the new face of southern Lebanon. Where Hezbollah fighters used to stand, now Lebanese soldiers are on the front lines with Israel. Helping them, 13,000 UNIFIL troops deployed in support of the Lebanese army and roaming Hezbollah strongholds with no restrictions. Across the terrain, no Hezbollah fighters are anywhere to be seen, nor their weapons. Here in Maroun Ras is where the first ground battles of the war took place. Hezbollah fighters confronting Israeli soldiers face to face and inflicting serious losses to the Israeli army. But with the new reality on the ground, the question on many people's mind, what are Hezbollah's capabilities now? Hassan Nasrallah says much stronger.
I'm telling all those who want to seal off the seas, the sky and the deserts and the enemy. The resistance today has more than 20,000 missiles. Pay attention, more than 20,000.
I've got to believe him. It's not a question of number, how many rockets, minus rockets or plus rockets. The question that he's there.
Walid Jumblat believes Hezbollah should give up its weapons now that Israel has left southern Lebanon. Hezbollah's man in charge of the south says no. Israel is an enemy with ambitions and is trying to compensate for its military loss in Lebanon, he says. And it's our duty to stay alert and to strengthen ourselves to protect Lebanon, even with all the changes. That doesn't affect our capabilities. Observers say Hezbollah may have grown powerful militarily, but politically it has suffered.
He wanted to topple the government, he failed. And he failed when he besieged Beirut.
Hezbollah's supporters have not given up. They are still camped out in downtown Beirut near the Prime Minister's office. Amal Saadi Ghreib says, although Hezbollah failed to bring down the government, it had succeeded in another more important goal, to confront the US plans for the region by paralyzing the Lebanese government.
This is, of course, part of Hezbollah's grander strategy of confronting the United States' strategic objectives in the region, which is basically to mold a new Middle East, and that has failed. the United States has not been able to push its agenda inside of Lebanon. What the United States hoped to achieve was to have a pro-US government inside of Lebanon which would push for a US agenda.
Saad says Hezbollah is now focused on preparing to what they see as an impending attack on Lebanon, Syria, or even Iran. And they say they are confident of another victory. Rula Amin, Al Jazeera, Southern Lebanon.